Hey, what's up, everybody? Metal Biker Dude coming at you here. So, I had somebody reach out to me from Patreon, wanted me to do some UFC picks. So, I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to put this straight up on YouTube. So, first of all, I am so stoked over this. And I know to casual fans, this isn't necessarily a dream card. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not a casual fan. I am a fan with fervor. I'm a huge UFC fan. So I got to tell you, if you're on the fence about this, don't be on the fence, man. Because this is a murderer's row of fights. So I'm going to start from the bottom. And I'm not doing the early prelims. Those will be on Fight Pass. But all the way up to the Anthony Pettis and Donald Cerrone fight, those will all be on ESPN, and then the fight card, the pay-per-view starts. So we won't do the early prelims. We'll just start at the prelims. And this first one's it's an easy one. Smiling Sam Alvey. He's been a mainstay in the UFC, and I like the guy. He's a good dude. They call him Smiling Sam Alvey because he's always smiling. Always smiling. Even during fights sometimes. But he's fighting Ryan Spann. And Ryan Spann, he's somewhat of a newer guy, but he has been on an absolute tear lately. And he's going to destroy Sam Alvey. Good chance that doesn't go past the first round. It won't go past the second. Boom. Boom, roasted. Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa. Okay. In this particular case, I'm gonna go with the underdog. Now I'm gonna pick a few dogs in this one. Charles Rosa is as good as Bryce Mitchell, if not better. And Charles Rosa is really good on the ground. So I would say that there could be an upset on this one. Not a major upset. He's only a plus 155. So, but I'm going to pick Charles Rosa over Bryce Mitchell in that one. The next fight up is those are the women, and the only women on the card, by the way, at least on the prelims and the main card. Carla Esparza and Michelle, the karate hottie, Waterson. Michelle Waterson is a plus 140. That means she's a slight dog in this. I'm not picking her, and I love Michelle Waterson. First of all, she is the karate hottie for a reason, but in all seriousness, she's been struggling lately. Her past few fights have been very unimpressive, very uneventful, and she just doesn't seem to have her stuff together right now. So, yeah, we're gonna go with Carla Esparza on that. Carla Esparza, she's really good with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I think she'll get Michelle Waterson down, and that'll probably be the end of that. She can strike though too, Carla. Now Ronald Souza. I'm sorry, Ronaldo Souza and Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is a dog in this one. Very, very slight dog again, but I'm taking him. Uriah Hall is one of my favorite fighters, and I'm not taking him because he's one of my favorite fighters, but he's just much more technical than Ronaldo. He's very precise. He strikes with precision. He level changes with precision. He's a well-rounded guy, and quite honestly, I've been a little surprised that he hasn't climbed the ranks a little faster than he has. He's had a couple of hiccups, but I'm pretty sure he's going to win this fight. Fabricio Werdum. If you ever seen Fabricio Werdum, when he smiles, he looks like the Joker. He's got this weird face when he smiles. And he is fighting Alexei Olynyk. And Alexei Olynyk he's been around the UFC for a while. He's a Russian fighter. He's been around this for a while. He's a 260 dog in this one, plus 260 dog in this one. But I'm taking Fabricio Werdum. Fabricio Verdum's been in the UFC forever and a day. And he's definitely long in the tooth. But Olynyk, he's wore out more. You know, these guys, they get punch drunk after a while, and Olynyk, I don't know if he's quite punch drunk yet, but he's pushing up on that line. So Vicente Luque and Nico Price. Nico Price is a plus 230 dog in this, and he should be. Vicente Luque, he's a great kickboxer, and that's his specialty. And I remember he fought Wonder Boy, and it was a war. It was a war, and Wonder Boy Thompson just edged him out, and it was the right decision. It went to a decision. I think, I want to say it was unanimous, but it was really close, nevertheless. But yeah, I'm definitely going with Vicente Luque in that one. He's just so strong, and his kicks are so heavy. Man, oh man, he could climb the ranks pretty quickly too. So now that puts us at the headliner of the prelims. Which is Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone. This is, in my opinion, this is a no-brainer. If you want to put some money down, put money down on this one. Donald Cerrone has lost 3 in a row. The last fight, sure, most of us know, he lost to Conor McGregor in 40 seconds. It was a clinch that happened really early on in the fight, and what Donald Cerrone said was that he got hit with Conor's waist. And then he got the head kick, and then he finished. McGregor finished him off after the head kicks, just took him down and just started laying on him. But Anthony Pettis, his name is Showtime, and for good reason. He does a lot of weird stuff. Like, if you haven't seen him do this, you've got to YouTube this. He climbs up on the chain link fence of the octagon, and he head kicks the guy and knocks him out cold. He literally walked up the fence and like horizontally. It's pretty wild knockout. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. So Pettis, his last fight, I want to say he fought Nate Diaz last. Nate Diaz won that fight, but Showtime Pettis, man, he's a strong fighter. He's not near as long in the tooth as Donald Cerrone. And, you know, honestly, I love Donald Cerrone. He's a fucking OG, but he is done. I wish somebody would get a hold of him and just tell him, hey, man, it's over. So, Greg Hardy and Yorgan De Castro. Greg Hardy, I don't know if you guys watched the face-offs on this one. Greg Hardy looks like he's 50 pounds heavier than De Castro. I mean, he just looked so big. And in the UFC, street fighting, anything like that, bigger guys have an advantage. You know, it has to do with a lot of different things, but they generally have an advantage. And Greg Hardy's been fighting really well lately. So I have to admit, I don't know a whole lot about De Castro. I've seen some highlights of his over the past couple days, but other than that, I don't know a whole lot about him. So I have to pick Greg Hardy in this one just because I am aware of him, and if you saw the size difference, you'd see what I'm talking about. Now, the next one, I'm not even sure this one's happening yet. I haven't looked into this. I've been working all day. But Jeremy Stevens missed weight. Now, for a 205 fighter, light heavyweight, it's bad to miss by 5.5 pounds. So if you weigh 210.5 pounds, that's kind of bad. Well, these guys are featherweights, which means they're 145ers. And Jeremy Stephens missed weight by 5.5 pounds. Now, you can use the excuse of, the coronavirus and all of the things, but nobody else missed weight. He was the only one, and he missed it by 5.5 pounds. That's a lot of weight, man. So, now he's fighting Calvin Kattar. Now, Calvin Kattar, his last fight, I remember it very well. He fought, I can never pronounce his name. He's another one of these Dagestani fighters where Khabib is from. Magashirapov, I think might be his last name. It's anyway. So that's who Calvin Kattar fought. Now Magashirapov, whatever his name is, he's a beast. And Calvin Kattar went neck and neck with him, and I think because Magashirapov, I think it's Magashirapov, he was starting to wear down in that third round. If that would have been a 5-round fight, no doubt Calvin Kattar would have won that fight. So I got to lean on Calvin Kattar on this one. Generally, what I have found is that when you miss weight, it seems to give the other guy a bit of an advantage on the mental side. Now, the one thing I will point out about Jeremy Stephens missing weight is, and this is kind of important, he weighed in right away. Like, as soon as they would let him weigh in, he did. Now, you got 2 hours, but clearly him and his coaches made the decision to go ahead and have him weigh in because they knew he wasn't going to make weight instead of trying, so that way his body could recover a lot faster. Now, with that said, I think that takes away any advantage that Calvin Kattar may have had. Jeremy Stephens, if you don't know who Jeremy Stephens is, if you remember the press conference with Conor McGregor when he said, "Who the fuck is that guy?" That's Jeremy Stephens. And but Jeremy Stephens, he's been a UFC badass, man. He knocks people out, man, and he's had some wicked knockouts, heavy duty hands. But he by the way, he is a plus 200 dog in this. I'm guessing if this fight is going to happen, he's going to give up. Jeremy Stephens is going to give up 20% of his purse. That's generally how it works to Calvin Kattar. So, but I think Calvin Kattar wins this fight. My head tells me that Calvin Kattar wins it. My heart tells me that Jeremy Stephens, just because, and I'm not hedging my bets here, I'm picking Calvin Kattar, okay? But Jeremy Stephens, you just can never count the guy out because he's got heavy hands, man. Super duper heavy hands. Oh boy. Now, I got to tell you, you guys, out of all of the fights on this card, this is, and there's 2 after this one. The co-main event and the main event are on after this one, and this is probably the one that I'm most excited about. And that's Francis Ngannou and Yair Rozenstruik. I've heard it pronounced so many ways: Rozenstruik. But anyway, Rozenstruik versus Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is one of the scariest men you'll ever see. And I forget who it was. I don't think it was Alistair Overeem. I think it was the Russian guy that he fought. He hit somebody with an uppercut, and they literally went airborne. He is nasty. Flat out nasty. Rozenstruik, he fought Alistair Overeem and split Alistair Overeem's, knocked him out. Alistair Overeem is definitely punch drunk, by the way. But split his lip from here, like up to here, and it was just split wide open. If you haven't seen that, check that out, man. It is gnarly. This is probably the hardest fight to pick. It probably is. But I'm gonna go with Francis Ngannou, just because I've seen him fight more and I know how scary of an individual he is, and he's very intimidating. And I did see them in the face-offs today, and he did look a lot bigger than Rozenstruik did. So I'm going to go with Francis Ngannou. And I'm not making any kind of crazy pick here, because Ngannou is a decent favorite in this fight. He's a minus 280 favorite in this. So most people, Vegas thinks he's going to win. That's for sure. All right. Now, this is the fight that I got to tell you, man. It's Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. I cannot stand Henry Cejudo. I cannot stand that guy with his triple C and his weird, angry faces. And the dude just gets on my last freaking nerve, man. Man, oh man, does he get on my nerves. Can't stand him. I can't stand that guy, and I hope Dominic Cruz wins. I don't see it happening. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into this before I started this video, so forgive me here, but you know what? I'm going to go with Dominic Cruz. I know it's wrong, and I think I'm betting with my heart here on this one, but I just want Cejudo to lose so badly, just so he'll shut up. Yeah, I'm gonna go Dominic Cruz, and I tell you something else. I'm gonna go Dominic Cruz in a decision. All right, the main event: Tony Ferguson versus Tony Elkue Ferguson versus Justin the Highlight Gaethje. This is another one of those head and heart things, and this is going to take me a minute to explain, but please hear me out on this. Tony Ferguson. I'm not a huge fan of Khabib. Khabib is the best fighter in the UFC right now, with only a close second to John Jones, is John Jones to Khabib, in my opinion. And so it tells you what I think of Khabib's abilities to win in the UFC. Okay? But I'm not a fan. I like to see a blood sport when I watch the UFC. And you just don't get that in Khabib fights. You know, what he does is he wraps around your leg like a python, and he just, more like a boa constrictor, really, because that's what he does. Is he goes in there, he wraps around you, and he cuts your air off, and that's how he wins his fights. Now, why am I talking about Khabib? Well, that's because if you don't know, the winner of this fight is supposed to fight Khabib. Now, we all know, well, many of us know the story that Tony Ferguson, he has been booked to fight Khabib 5 times now, and it's yet to happen. And you know, it just seems like a cursed fight. Seems like no matter what, this fight will just not happen. With that said, Justin Gaethje, Justin Gaethje he's kind of like Jeremy Stevens, but bigger and crazier. I mean, he's almost certifiable. The way he fights, he's got to have some screws loose up there. Has to. Tony's not exactly the most stable person either. But, so here's the extra dynamic to the whole Khabib thing. I'm not a fan of Khabib's manager either, Ali Abdelaziz. He's done some things that I'm not a fan of. I'll just say that. I'm not going to get into the particulars, but he is Khabib's manager. But he is also Justin Gaethje's manager. I love chaos. So it would do my heart good to see Justin Gaethje win this fight so that he would have to fight Khabib and put Ali Abdelaziz in an awkward position. That would make my heart happy. Tony Ferguson, in my opinion, has a much better chance at beating Khabib than Justin Gaethje. So either way that goes, there's something in it for me on a personal level. But, and this is for the interim title, so that's why whoever wins this will fight Khabib, who's the champion. I think the way I see things happening is that Tony wins in the 4th round. And he's probably, if he does win in the 4th round, it's probably going to be a Darce choke. He's notorious for his Darce chokes. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically when they get around you like this and your arm is in the air like this and it goes up against your jugular and it cuts your air off. And he has 3 wins by Darce choke in the UFC, which is a record. I just, Joe Rogan said it best. Anybody that fights Tony Ferguson, when the fight is over, they end up looking like they fell off a train. And it's the truth. He's going to cut Justin Gaethje up with his elbows. And the thing is, though, is Justin Gaethje has that one-punch knockout power. Not quite to the level of Conor, but not far from it. So I am going to pick, and this is Vegas has this really close. They got Justin Gaethje at plus 160, Tony Ferguson minus 190. That's really close. It's almost a pick'em fight, which is surprising. I thought Tony Ferguson would be a much bigger favorite in this, but I am going to take Tony Ferguson in this fight. So there you have it. Those are my picks. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, I guess. I don't know. But honestly, I'm usually pretty good with these. I do DraftKings, and man, I've been so DraftKings starved lately that I kind of loaded up for this fight tomorrow night. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Metal Mega Dude, peace.